Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it Creativity or Inspiration Cannot Be Lost. It's based on a question someone asked that says, Nick, thank you so much for your video this morning. Your music is very beautiful. I don't know what to do. In your case, for example, you write songs. In mine, I used to paint. But now it's like the creativity of art has disappeared, painting, ceramics. And I responded, inspiration arises when it arises and stops arising when it stops arising. But what remains regardless of what arises or stop arising is that capital T. And that capital T doesn't feel strange in any way. What seems to make it feel strange is the thought, the conditioning, the mind seeking protagonism. The difference is that now, when those thoughts arise, you can see them while resting in the life that you are. Simply observe how life moves you. So, in my case, for example, the inspiration to write a song or create music arises. I don't choose it. The inspiration to write a book arises. I don't choose it. The inspiration to do anything arises, and I don't choose it. It's just simply what happens. But I remain as I am, and this is where these videos are pointing to. We're not trying to get caught in the details of the movie. What should I do, what I don't do, or what I would like to do, or that's irrelevant. What we're focusing, I won't say focusing, but what we're resting is in the fact that I am. What we're learning to see is how the mind or thoughts appear, and we want to give them protagonism. Because we're so conditioning to believe the thoughts, and the thoughts is all about doing. I gotta do. If I don't do, what's gonna happen? And we overlook the fact that we are being. And being takes no effort. Being is just life being. And from that beingness, notice how the doing appears. When the mind is identified with a sense of identity, doing is about protecting this sense of identity, giving it pleasure, avoiding pain and everything. But all of that is a distraction to the fact that I am. I don't know what is the next thought that is going to happen. I don't know what is the next sensation that I may feel. I don't know what is the next move that I'm supposed to make. I don't know what is the next circumstance that may seem to appear. The only thing that I know is that I am. The question is, are you comfortable enough to just be? And it's funny how the mind says, no, I gotta do something, But the thing is, you're being all the time. The doing is an appearance or a seeming appearance in being. We're just simply bringing the attention back to being. And the doing take care of itself. And to the mind that is so used to believing in a sense of identity, spend its whole life trying to develop this ego thought system, this ego identity, it's pretty much like a death. It's a psychological death of the sense of individual. But in reality, it's not actually a death. It's a freedom. It's the freedom of what you are. Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. We're pointing here to the truth, not the details of the movie. Forget if I write songs, or if I do, or if I speak, or if I write books, or if I don't know, cook, or exercise, or rest, or it doesn't matter what I do. The activity is irrelevant. The question is, who am I? Is resting in that. And you are that. Right now you are being that, while the activity of a seeming you watching a video seems to appear. You see? And that activity was inspired by life. You didn't choose it. But the mind says, no, I did choose it. Well, the thought of you watching the video arises first, right? Without that thought, would you find yourself watching this video? And you know what the answer is. Without the thought appearing in you that says, I'm going to watch the video, without that thought, you would not be watching the video. You would just simply be or doing whatever another thought may suggest you should do. So the thought of you watching the video appears. Call that inspiration, call it motivation, it doesn't matter. And then you find yourself watching the video. And you see how the mind takes protagonism. I chose that thought. You see? So when I see that the person find herself, I think it's a she, saying, well, you know, I feel like I don't know what to do, I used to do this or whatever, in reality is the feeling of being uncomfortable with being because we're so used to doing. Well, now we're beginning to feel comfortable with being. And that's it. And being is the nature of what we are always. And now we just observe the doing according to our script, according to whatever we're supposed to do. Some people, their doing seem to be very, very active, very moving, very whatever. And other people maybe just to sit down and relax and that's it. It doesn't matter. We don't judge the movement on the surface. We just simply see it for what it is while we rest in beingness. Never lose sight of beingness and everything is fine. But notice when the mind wants to take protagonism, wants to engage, wants to give meaning to everything, wants to evaluate everything. I shouldn't be doing this, I should be doing that, or whatever. No. Life is unfolding. Right now, this is what has to happen because it's what's happening. This is what is it's very simple, it's not complicated. But again, the issue here is the fear of letting go of the sense of identity. That's where the fear strikes. Who am I? And this video is about finding out who you truly are, which is not something to find, it already is. Right now, if there's no identification with any thoughts, what remains? You! Everything happens or seems to appear in you. In you as consciousness, as that, not as a person. The body happens in you. The image seems to happen in you. The breathing happens in you. The seeing happens in you. The hearing happens in you. But the you is not touched, is not moved, is not affected by the seeing, the hearing, the sensing, the thinking, the body appearing, the world of appearances, because you rest as you are. And the mind cannot grasp this because the mind is the obstacle itself. The mind is a thought in you. And yet, if I invite you for a moment, don't identify with the content of the mind, don't believe in it, just notice what remains. You see, I'm not even asking you to find what remains because what remains already is. I'm pointing to what is. Notice what remains when there's no identification with the content of the mind. Now, if there's no identification with the content of the mind, which is the one that says, you know, I used to paint, I used to do blah, 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 what remains is not boring. What remains is beingness. We could say a peace that passes all understanding, but I don't like to use the word peace because when we use the word peace, again, the mind conjures up a feeling, a sensation, a particular state. Peace feels in a particular way. To some, peace is the absence of noise. To some, peace is the absence of whatever or the experience in a particular way. But what we're inviting here is the peace, or peace is what you are, in which the noise appears, in which feeling sensations appears, in which everything seems to appear but you remain as you are. This is what the videos are pointing to, not the details of the movie. You used to paint, well, great, now you don't paint, big deal, what difference does it make? To beingness, it doesn't matter whether I used to paint and now I don't paint. Beingness doesn't care whether I write a song or don't do anything. Beingness doesn't care if I'm taking a nap or if I find myself running. Beingness is the background which remains always, and this is where these videos are pointing to. And again, you see the mind, but if I rest in there, I will not know how to function in this world. No, because you remember, you're not the one functioning in the world. Functioning happens through you according to how life is unfolding through you. The problem is that if you believe you're that person, then you're concerned about all the functioning and everything. But when you know who you are, you simply are the observer of the functioning. Right now, part of the functioning is me making a video and you watching it. But I didn't choose to make the video and you're not choosing to watch the video. This is part of the functioning. Well, if in the functioning you're supposed to paint again and do all these kinds of things, that'll happen organically. And if in the functioning that is not supposed to happen, then it won't happen. The difference is that resting as the self that I am, none of that matters, it's irrelevant. So when the inspiration comes to do something, I see how it arises and I see how life in the functioning itself find myself doing that. And at the same token, when there's nothing to do, I find myself doing nothing. And when the mind says, but if you don't do nothing, you got to take care of these responsibilities. I don't have to take care of any responsibility because that takes care of itself. I am life, not the individual who is now distracted by the thoughts that says you should do or you shouldn't do. I don't know. All I know is that I am. This is all that we're pointing to here. That's it. End of story. And you see how the argument that the person came up with immediately dissipates. Right now you are. This is all that it matters. This is where this is all pointing to. You rest in the fact that you are. That's it. And life simply happens. Well, this is inspiration that came through. I hope it served, and as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.